before you open your eyes fully, before your feet touch the floor, before the world reminds you of who you were yesterday, there is a moment. A silent, sacred moment. In that space, you are not yet defined by circumstances. You are not yet reacting to problems. You are pure awareness, unconditioned, creative, powerful. And what you choose to accept as true in that moment will shape everything that follows. Most people wake up and immediately remember their limitations. They remember their bills, their responsibilities, their unfinished goals. And without realizing it, they assume the continuation of yesterday. But what if the morning was not a continuation? What if it was a creation? What if the very first feeling you accept upon waking becomes the blueprint for your entire day? There is a law operating whether you know it or not. A law that does not judge, does not delay, does not question. It simply reflects. And when you understand how to use it in the morning, when your mind is most impressionable, you stop hoping life will change, and you begin deciding that it already has. Today, you will discover the morning law of assumption, the quiet inner shift that changes everything. The moment you awaken is not a small, ordinary transition from sleep to activity. It is the doorway between the unseen and the seen. It is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. In that delicate state, when your eyes are barely open and your mind has not yet fully engaged with the world, you are standing at the control center of your reality. And what you accept as true in that very first assumption begins shaping the events, reactions, opportunities, and outcomes of your entire day. Most people do not understand this. They wake up and immediately remember their burdens. They think of unfinished tasks, financial pressure, relationship tension, or uncertainty about the future. In that instant, they unconsciously assume struggle. They rehearse worry. They accept delay. And because consciousness is creative, the day faithfully mirrors that assumption back to them. But imagine doing the opposite. Imagine waking up and, before moving your body, deliberately assuming that something wonderful is unfolding. Not hoping, not wishing, assuming. There is a difference. Hope implies distance. Assumption implies possession. When you assume something is true, your body responds. Your breathing shifts. Your posture changes. Your tone becomes calmer. You walk differently. And because you move differently, you interact differently. And because you interact differently, life responds differently. The first assumption of the day is powerful because your subconscious mind is most impressionable upon waking. In that half-awake state, you are highly suggestible. Whatever feeling dominates in that moment sinks deeply into your consciousness and becomes the blueprint your mind works to express. If the dominant feeling is stress, the day organizes around stress. If the dominant feeling is confidence, the day organizes around confidence. This is not superstition. It is law. Your world is not happening to you. It is responding to you. And your response begins the instant you wake. So instead of asking, what problems will I face today? Ask yourself, if everything were already working in my favor, how would I feel right now? Then allow yourself to feel that answer. Feel the quiet relief. Feel the steady certainty. Feel the calm expectation that something beneficial is already arranged behind the scenes. That feeling is not fantasy. It is creative power. The outer world does not know the difference between what is visible and what is inwardly accepted. It only mirrors your dominant state. When you assume success in the morning, you may still encounter ordinary tasks. You may still handle responsibilities, but you will move through them with an underlying confidence that alters outcomes in subtle but powerful ways. Doors seem to open more easily. Conversations flow more smoothly. Ideas come more clearly. Solutions appear naturally. Why? Because you began the day from the end, from the state of fulfillment rather than the state of lack. Many people attempt to change their circumstances through effort alone. They push, they force, they struggle. But effort without a change in assumption only recreates the same patterns in different forms. The real shift happens within. The real power lies in identity. When you wake up and assume, I am someone whom things work out, you begin embodying that version of yourself immediately. And embodiment precedes evidence. Do not wait for a reason to feel secure. Assume security. Do not wait for validation to feel worthy. Assume worthiness. Do not wait for results to feel successful. Assume success. The feeling must come first. The evidence follows. At first, your mind may resist. It may whisper, but nothing has changed yet. Gently remind yourself that change begins in consciousness. You are not reacting to yesterday. You are creating today, and today will influence tomorrow. This practice is simple, but it requires consistency. Every morning, guard the first few minutes. Do not rush to your phone. Do not immediately engage with external noise. Stay inward. Select your assumption carefully. Decide who you are before the world tries to decide for you. Because if you do not choose your first assumption, your old patterns will choose it for you. And the beauty of this law is its neutrality. It does not judge whether your assumption is positive or negative. It simply reflects. That means you hold the authority. You hold the power. You hold the pen that writes the emotional script of your day. The first assumption of the day is not just a thought. It is a declaration of identity. It is the quiet statement. This is who I am now. Choose wisely. Choose deliberately. Choose boldly. For the morning does not merely begin your day. It reveals who you have decided to be. Before your feet touch the ground, before you speak a single word, before you allow the memory of yesterday to return, there is a sacred instruction you must follow. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is the heart of the morning law. It is not enough to think about what you want. It is not enough to repeat empty affirmations. Words without feeling are like seeds placed on stone. They do not take root. The power lies in feeling. The power lies in inwardly experiencing what it would be like if your desire were already accomplished. Most people wake up and begin from desire. They feel the absence of what they want. They think about the job they need, the money they lack, the relationship they hope will improve. And in doing so, they strengthen the state of not having. They unknowingly assume separation. They assume distance. They assume delay. But the law responds to identity, not longing. If you want abundance, you must feel abundant before you see evidence. If you want love, you must feel love before it appears. If you want success, you must feel successful before recognition comes. The outer world does not create the feeling. The feeling creates the outer world. So when you wake up, remain still for a moment. Close your eyes again if you must. Ask yourself gently, if my desire were already fulfilled, how would I feel right now? Do not analyze the answer. Do not force it. Simply allow the feeling to rise naturally. Perhaps it feels like relief. Perhaps it feels like gratitude. Perhaps it feels like calm confidence. Whatever it is, dwell in it. Let it saturate your body. Let it become real to you, not as imagination alone, but as present experience. This is not pretending. It is selecting a state. The mind does not distinguish sharply between vividly felt imagination and physical reality. What you repeatedly feel to be true becomes your dominant state. And your dominant state expresses itself through circumstances, reactions, and events. The mistake many make is trying to feel excitement or intensity. That is not required. Fulfillment is often quiet. It is steady. It is peaceful. When something is truly done, there is no desperation attached to it. There is a settled knowing, a quiet assurance, a gentle certainty. That is the feeling you must cultivate each morning. Imagine someone who has already received wonderful news. Notice their posture. Their breathing is slower. Their movements are relaxed. They are not striving. They are not anxious. They are secure. When you assume the wish fulfilled, you step into that same posture inwardly. And here is the secret. Once you genuinely feel it, you do not need to repeat it all day with strain. A single, deeply impressed feeling in the morning can set the tone for hours. It becomes the background music of your day. Challenges may arise. Delays may appear. But because you began from fulfillment, you interpret events differently. Instead of panic, there is patience. Instead of doubt, there is trust. Instead of reaction, there is composure. And that composure itself influences outcomes in ways you cannot always see immediately. You are not trying to manipulate the world. You are aligning your inner state with the version of yourself who already has what you desire. Once you become that version inwardly, the outer world has no choice but to reflect the change. If you rise without assuming the wish fulfilled, you risk falling back into old identities. You risk reacting from lack. You risk strengthening yesterday's story. But if you claim fulfillment before you rise, you interrupt the old pattern. You step into authorship instead of repetition. Consistency is essential. One morning of assumption may inspire you. A week of assumption will shift your mood. But persistence over time will transform your identity. And when identity changes, reality follows naturally. Do not worry about how it will happen. The how belongs to the unseen mechanisms of life. Your responsibility is simpler and more powerful. Feel it real. Each morning, before the world begins demanding your attention, demand something of yourself. The courage to feel fulfilled without evidence. For the one who can feel complete before completion arrives is the one who draws completion toward them effortlessly. Assume it done. Feel it real. Rise from that state and let the day unfold as confirmation of the feeling you dared to accept. Once you have assumed the feeling of the wish fulfilled in the morning, your next responsibility is clear guard your mental atmosphere like something sacred. For what you impress upon yourself at dawn can either be strengthened throughout the day or quietly dissolved by careless reaction. Your mind is not just a thinking machine. It is an atmosphere. And like any atmosphere, it can be clear and life-giving or heavy and polluted. The state you awaken into is delicate at first. It is like lighting a candle in a room that has long been dark. If you are not attentive, the winds of doubt, fear, and old habits will attempt to extinguish it. This is why discipline of attention is essential. Most people begin their day with intention, but lose it by mid-morning. A single email shifts their mood. A comment from someone unsettles them. An unexpected delay triggers frustration. And in those small moments, they unknowingly abandon the state they consciously chose earlier. But understand this clearly, reaction is agreement. When you react emotionally to appearances, you are silently declaring, "This is more powerful than my assumption." And the moment you do that, you shift states. The outer world has not defeated you. You have consented to a different identity. To guard your mental atmosphere does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending challenges do not exist. It means refusing to allow external circumstances to dictate your inner condition. It means remembering that what you assumed in the morning is still the greater reality, even if the evidence has not yet rearranged itself. Imagine you have planted a seed. You would not dig it up every hour to check if it is growing. You would protect it. You would water it. You would trust it. In the same way, your morning assumption must be protected from constant scrutiny and emotional disturbance. The world may show you shadows of your former beliefs. That is natural. Old states echo before they fade, but you must not be alarmed by them. Instead, respond inwardly with calm authority. This does not change who I am now. That simple inner refusal is powerful. When something unexpected happens, pause before reacting. Take one conscious breath. Ask yourself, from the version of me who already has what I desire, how would I respond? Then choose that response deliberately. Perhaps the fulfilled version of you would remain patient. Perhaps they would see opportunity instead of threat. Perhaps they would smile instead of complain. In choosing that response, you reinforce your new identity. Guarding your mental atmosphere also means being selective about what you consume. The conversations you entertain, the media you absorb, the thoughts you repeat, all contribute to your inner climate. If you continually expose yourself to negativity, comparison, and fear, you make it difficult to maintain the state you assumed. You cannot plant abundance in the morning and dwell in scarcity by afternoon without consequence. Consistency between assumption and attention is what produces results. There will be moments when you forget, moments when frustration slips through. That is human. But do not condemn yourself. Simply return. The power is not in perfection, it is in persistence. Each time you return to your chosen state, you strengthen it. Over time, something remarkable happens. The state becomes natural. What once required effort becomes automatic. You no longer struggle to remain calm. You simply are calm. You no longer fight to feel confident. Confidence becomes your default. And when a state becomes natural, manifestation accelerates. Why? Because the law responds most powerfully to what feels normal to you. When abundance feels normal, it appears normal. When success feels natural, it unfolds naturally. When love feels expected, it arrives without drama. Guarding your mental atmosphere ensures that your new state becomes your normal state. You are not a victim of moods. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the custodian of consciousness. And consciousness, when consistently directed, shapes experience with precision. So treat your inner world with reverence. Protect it from unnecessary disturbance. Refuse to let fleeting appearances overthrow your deeper knowing. The morning gave you the opportunity to choose your state. The day gives you the opportunity to remain faithful to it. And the one who remains faithful to their inner atmosphere will eventually see the outer world conform in ways that feel almost effortless. Guard it well, for within that unseen atmosphere lies the blueprint of your entire reality. The true test of the morning law is not in how powerfully you assume once. It is in how faithfully you persist. Anyone can feel inspired for a moment. Anyone can claim confidence when circumstances are favorable. But the one who transforms their life is the one who remains loyal to their assumption long enough for it to feel natural. Persistence is not force. It is not strain. It is not repeating words with desperation. Persistence is quiet inner loyalty to the state you have chosen. It is the refusal to abandon your new identity simply because the outer world has not caught up yet. When you assume something in the morning, success, abundance, harmony, opportunity, you are stepping into a new version of yourself. But that version may feel unfamiliar at first. Your old habits will attempt to pull you back. Old thoughts will whisper, be realistic. Old emotions will rise and try to convince you that nothing has changed. This is where most people stop. They interpret temporary contradictions as failure. They assume that because they do not see immediate results, the practice is not working. But what they fail to understand is that assumption works from the inside out. The inner shift must stabilize before the outer rearrangement becomes visible. Think of it as wearing a new garment. At first, you are aware of it. It feels different. You adjust it. You notice it constantly. But after some time, it feels like your own. You forget you are even wearing it. It becomes natural. Your new assumption must become like that garment. If you assume wealth, persist in feeling secure even when bills appear. If you assume love, persist in feeling valued even when someone behaves distant. If you assume success, persist in feeling capable even when results seem slow. Persistence does not deny temporary appearances. It simply refuses to let them redefine you. The outer world is a delayed reflection of former states. What you see today may be yesterday's assumption playing out. If you react to it emotionally, you reinforce the old state. But if you remain inwardly aligned with your chosen identity, you begin impressing a new pattern that must eventually objectify itself. This is why naturalness is the goal. When the feeling of fulfillment becomes ordinary to you, manifestation is near. When abundance feels expected rather than surprising, it arrives with ease. When success feels like who you are rather than something you are chasing, it finds you effortlessly. Ask yourself, does my desire still feel distant, or does it feel familiar? If it feels distant, continue dwelling in the end. Not with tension, but with gentle repetition. Return to the feeling each morning. Return to it whenever your mind drifts, not obsessively, but faithfully. You are training your consciousness. Over time, something subtle but profound occurs. You stop hoping. You stop checking. You stop wondering if it will happen. There is a shift from anticipation to certainty, from desire to ownership, from longing to knowing. That knowing is power. When you reach that point, even if the world still looks unchanged, you are no longer disturbed. You have already accepted your new identity. You no longer seek reassurance from circumstances because you have found reassurance within. And here is the paradox. The moment you stop needing proof is often the moment proof appears. Life responds most quickly to what you accept as normal. If your desire still feels extraordinary, you keep it at a distance. But when it feels like the most natural thing in the world, there is no resistance to its arrival. Persistence, then, is not about convincing the universe. It is about convincing yourself. It is about remaining loyal to your chosen state long enough for it to replace your old self, concept completely. Every morning, you renew the assumption. Every day, you reinforce it. Not because you are trying to force something into existence, but because you are stabilizing a new identity. Do not measure your progress by visible signs alone. Measure it by your inner reaction. Are you calmer? More certain? Less shaken by appearances? That is evidence of transformation. For when your assumption feels natural, reality has already begun to shift. Even if you cannot yet see all the movement, persist. Not until you see it, but until it feels like who you are. And when it feels like who you are, the world will have no choice but to agree. The final and most powerful step in the morning law is this: do not rise as the person who is trying to get something. Rise as the person who already has it. There is a vast difference between those two identities. One is chasing. The other is embodying. One is aware of lack. The other is established in possession. And the world responds not to what you want, but to who you believe yourself to be. Each morning offers you a choice of identity. You can wake up as the version of yourself shaped by yesterday's circumstances, reacting, remembering, repeating. Or you can wake up as the version of yourself who has already achieved the desire, already resolved the problem, already stepped into fulfillment. This is not denial of current facts. It is transcendence of them. If you rise as someone trying to become successful, your thoughts will revolve around effort, comparison, and urgency. If you rise as someone who already is successful, your thoughts will reflect confidence, clarity, and composure. The actions may look similar outwardly, but the inner posture is completely different. And that difference changes outcomes. The person who already has it does not rush from fear. They move with intention. They do not seek approval anxiously. They expect respect naturally. They do not wonder if something will happen. They prepare as though it is inevitable. Ask yourself this each morning. If my desire were already fulfilled, how would I move today? Would you speak differently? Would you carry yourself differently? Would you worry as much? Would you doubt so easily? The fulfilled version of you has a different rhythm. They are not desperate. They are not tense. They are not constantly checking for signs. They are steady. They are grounded. They are certain. When you rise in that identity, you begin making choices from it. You answer messages from it. You make decisions from it. You interpret events from it. And because your interpretations shape your reactions, and your reactions shape your results, everything begins to shift. Many people attempt to manifest while remaining in the same self-concept. They want wealth but still see themselves as struggling. They want love but still see themselves as unwanted. They want success but still identify as overlooked. As long as the self-concept remains unchanged, the outer world cannot change significantly. Identity is the root. Circumstances are the fruit. If you want different fruit, you must become a different tree. This transformation does not require dramatic action. It requires inner alignment. You do not need to tell the world who you are becoming. You quietly assume it. You privately accept it. You rise each day with that silent knowing. At first, it may feel like you are acting, but stay with it. You are not pretending. You are practicing. You are rehearsing the identity until it feels authentic, and repetition turns rehearsal into reality. The beautiful thing about identity is that it influences everything effortlessly. When you see yourself as capable, you attempt things others avoid. When you see yourself as fortunate, you notice opportunities others overlook. When you see yourself as loved, you behave in ways that invite connection instead of fear. Rising as the fulfilled version of you also eliminates desperation, and desperation repels what you desire. Calm expectancy attracts it. When something feels natural and deserved, it flows more freely. So tomorrow morning, do not ask, "What must I do to get it?" Ask instead, "Who am I now that it is already mine?" Then rise from that answer. Walk from that answer. Speak from that answer. Think from that answer. You will find that life begins arranging itself around your new self-definition. People respond differently. Ideas come more easily. Solutions appear where obstacles once stood, not because you forced the world, but because you shifted who you are within it. The morning law is not about controlling events. It is about selecting identity. And when you rise as the version of yourself who already has it, you close the gap between desire and experience. You stop becoming, and you start being. And once you start being, the having follows naturally. There is a level of assumption even deeper than feeling fulfilled, and that is gratitude before proof. To give thanks before you see results is to declare that the unseen is more real than the visible. It is to stand firmly in the conviction that what you have accepted inwardly is already accomplished, even if your senses have not yet confirmed it. Gratitude is not merely good manners. It is alignment. When you give thanks after receiving something, you are responding to evidence. But when you give thanks before receiving, you are creating evidence. You are affirming completion in advance, and that inner affirmation carries extraordinary creative power. Most people wait. They say, "I will be grateful when it happens." But that statement quietly reinforces separation. It suggests that fulfillment is somewhere in the future. It suggests delay, and delay becomes the experience. True creative gratitude says, "Thank you that it is already done." This kind of gratitude is calm. It is not dramatic. It does not beg. It does not plead. It rests. It assumes. It acknowledges completion. Imagine receiving news that everything has been resolved in your favor. Imagine hearing that the opportunity is secured, the problem dissolved, the door opened. What would you feel? Relief, appreciation, peace. Now, instead of waiting for that outer confirmation, generate the gratitude now, not loudly, not forcefully, quietly. Upon waking, after assuming the wish fulfilled, whisper within yourself, "Thank you," not because you see it, but because you know it. Let that gratitude settle into your body. Let it soften your breathing. Let it calm your mind. Gratitude changes your state instantly. It shifts you from striving to receiving, from tension to trust, from anxiety to assurance. A grateful person does not chase. A grateful person expects. They move through the day with a subtle confidence because they believe something good is already in motion. And belief shapes perception. When you are grateful in advance, you begin noticing small confirmations throughout the day. A helpful conversation, an unexpected idea, a minor convenience. These may seem insignificant at first, but they are signs of alignment. Gratitude sharpens your awareness of favorable movement. But here is the deeper truth. Gratitude sustains assumption. It is easier to remain faithful to your chosen identity when you are thankful. Gratitude protects you from doubt. It anchors you in trust. Doubt asks, "Will it happen?" Gratitude declares, "It has already happened in the unseen." When you wake up worried, your body tightens, your mind races. But when you wake up grateful, your nervous system relaxes, your posture softens, your thoughts slow down, you think more clearly, you decide more wisely. And those improved decisions create improved outcomes. You are not manipulating events. You are aligning with a state that naturally produces better experiences. Some may ask, how can I be grateful when nothing has changed yet? The answer is simple. Something has changed. You have changed. You have assumed fulfillment. You have selected a new identity. And that inner shift is the true beginning of manifestation. The outer world rearranges in response to inner conviction, not inner desperation. Gratitude also dissolves the habit of checking constantly for results. When you are truly thankful, you are not impatient. You do not dig up the seed to see if it has grown. You trust that what has been planted will bear fruit in its season. This trust is not passive. It is powerful. Each morning, as part of your practice, give thanks for the very thing you desire, as though it were already part of your life. Feel appreciation for it. See yourself enjoying it. Sense the relief of having it resolved. Then rise and move through your day without strain. When challenges appear, return to gratitude. Instead of reacting with frustration, say inwardly, even this is working in my favor. That statement keeps you aligned. It prevents you from falling back into old patterns of doubt. Over time, gratitude becomes your default state. And when gratitude is natural, abundance becomes natural. When appreciation is steady, opportunities multiply. When thankfulness is sincere, fulfillment feels inevitable. Giving thanks before evidence is the ultimate act of faith in your own creative power. It says, I trust what I have assumed. It says, I believe what I have felt. It says, I know the unseen is already at work. And when you live from that knowing, reality cannot remain unchanged for long. So tomorrow morning, before the world offers you proof, offer gratitude. Before the evidence appears, say thank you. And watch how life begins to echo the appreciation you dared to feel in advance. So tomorrow morning, and every morning after, do not wake up as a spectator of life. Wake up as its author. Before the mind begins to wander, before doubts try to whisper, claim your state, not with force, not with struggle, but with calm certainty. Feel the wish fulfilled. Feel the relief of knowing it is already done. Feel the gratitude of someone who has already received. Feel the quiet confidence of someone who does not chase, because what they desire is already theirs. And then rise. Rise not to seek. Rise not to worry. Rise not to fight circumstances. Rise knowing that the unseen has already moved. Rise knowing that your inner assumption is shaping the outer world. Rise knowing that the day has no choice but to echo your dominant belief. Persist in this, and you will reach a point where you no longer wait for evidence. You will expect it. You will not be surprised by success. You will not be shocked by favor. It will feel natural because you first made it natural within. Everything changes the moment you stop asking, will it happen? And start declaring, it is already done. The morning is your gateway. Your assumption is your power, and your persistence is your transformation. If this message resonated with you, carry it into tomorrow morning. Practice it. Test it. Experience it for yourself. Thank you for choosing to step into your power. Thank you for being willing to think differently. And thank you for investing this time in your own consciousness, because that is where everything begins. If this inspired you, share it with someone who needs this reminder, and return each day ready to assume the highest version of yourself. Your mornings will never be the same again, and neither will your life.